Welcome back to the 1090 podcast, where life's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you're going to do about it. I'm with Brie Ocea.
Brie Ocea, yes.
Brie Ocea. That sounds like a perfume fragrance. Brought to you by Brie Ocea.
Yeah. I mean, that's prettier than most people refer to it, like the cheese or Ocea.
Ocea cheese?
Yeah. No, Brie cheese.
Oh, Brie cheese. I'm familiar with cheeses. I don't know any.
Or there's like the brioche bread that I get referred to all the time.
Brioche bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those were your nicknames in high school or what?
No, not necessarily in high school, but just how people kind of think of me now, I guess.
So Brie.
Yeah.
For our intro today.
Okay.
Let's just tell so I'm in Cancun.
Yes.
Speaking event for this company called New Sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hanging out at the beach, and I already did the speaking event. It's the next day, just chilling, me and Sammy on the beach. Sammy's working, she's on the computer. So I go to the beach, and I'm playing this perfect. Like, I'm right at this area of the beach where the waves come up and hit my legs and
kind of cool me off. Tell me what you were doing, because it looked a little odd. A few of us were kind of concerned.
I was just laying there, just pondering life, getting some grounding in.
Okay.
Maybe I had a drink or two.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But the point is,
maybe 4 drinks.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm laying out on this beach, and I'm not moving. I'm just totally relaxed.
Yeah, no, you're just laying on the sand. It's like the water is coming up on your legs, on your body.
And I'm face down in the sand.
You look passed out in the sand.
My face is in the sand. I'm just enjoying, waves come up and shift my body, not even moving.
So I'm with a group of girls, right? I'm with the wives of the company.
Sure.
And we look at you, we see this man on the sand, and we're like, is this guy, is he alive? Is he breathing? It looked like you got washed up on shore.
Yeah.
And one of us actually gets up to go and check on you and make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, so I'm chilling, and I see these two shadows kind of they kind of block the sun, so it kind of wakes you up. And so I look up, and it's these 2 girls, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I just run into the ocean and dive into the ocean.
And then it looked like you got a little bit embarrassed, and then you just ran into the ocean.
What? And then
we were like, "Wait, is that the guy who spoke last night?" Yes, it is. And for me, I was like, oh my gosh, because I had been wanting to talk to you.
Yeah.
So.
Because I didn't think much of it.
Right.
And then later, I was playing it back in my head. I'm like, oh, I totally see what I look like. I would have walked up to me too.
Yeah, no, we were concerned. We wanted to check for a pulse.
So anyway. So that happens, and then I'm just swimming in the ocean. You come back up. We start chatting.
Right. So I've been following your story for a while.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in Utah, and I think the accident that happened for you. What was the date of it?
It was July 25th, 2021.
21. Okay. So my accident actually happened July 1st, 2022.
So basically a year later.
A year later, yeah. So I'd been following your story, and I always kind of felt like I would run into you. I did not think I'd run into you Cancun, Mexico, and find you lying on the beach. But, things happen for a reason sometimes, and I wouldn't take it back. So I saw you there and took my opportunity to go and talk to you.
And I just do want to clarify, I was sober and fine on the beach.
Okay. That's what I figured after talking to you. You were absolutely fine.
So I'm glad you came up to me because, it's a reminder that you never know what anyone's going through.
Yeah.
Because you come up to me, I'm like, oh hey, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, I like your story. I've been following you because you tell me about what happened to you and your son Romeo, and then now it's like, okay, just try not to cry now.
I know.
And then I'm like, well, where do you live? And once you said Draper, I'm like, well, we'll just have you on then. Because your story's pretty not good. It's not good.
Right. Well.
But I think that's the intro. That's the intro. You kind of know where we're coming from. That's how we met. That's how we're here. And we hope to have a good episode today. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. We're here with Brie Ocea. Brie, where do we start with Romeo? Should we start where do you want to go from here? Your story, your time.
Ooh.
I would like to hear a little bit about him.
Yeah, okay.
And I love the name, Romeo.
Romeo, yeah. Well, that's the thing is Romeo, he was just so magical and so freaking handsome. Like he really stole the heart of every person who's ever met him. I mean, he was an angel, right?
Yeah, I was just flipping through your Instagram and like the pictures you have on of him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's just so cute. So I actually got pregnant with Romeo. I had been with my boyfriend at the time for maybe a year, and we got pregnant by accident, but it was one of those meant to be kind of situations. And when I realized that I was pregnant, we were living in his parents' basement, and we were broke and just not in like the best circumstance to have a baby. But we knew that it would be okay, and we knew that he was meant to be here with us, and so it just felt right. And by the time I had him, he just completely rocked my whole world.
How old were you when you had him?
I think I was 20, 21. I just turned 21 when I gave birth to him.
So pretty young.
Yeah, pretty young. But yeah, he just rocked my whole world. I was a stay-at-home mom, and
what, and maybe there's nothing there because I don't really know how you grew up, but just being in Utah,
right,
having a baby, not married, you catch any haters, or I don't know if that's the right word.
It's kind of funny because
whatever.
in Utah, people usually have kids pretty young.
Right.
So
like Utah, you're in the norm. Like not even that young.
No, it's really. It's like totally normal. Everybody sees babies everywhere. Like kids are running everywhere. The only difference is, we weren't married, but I think, I don't know, I'm kind of past caring what people think about with that. It was funny though, leaving out of state. Like I'd go visit California and I'd be super pregnant. People look at me like I was a child who was pregnant. Yeah, no, like having a baby and like taking them out of state, out of Utah, it was more like, whoa, like you're a mom. But in Utah, it's normal.
It's just weird. Like I remember being 21.
Right.
Or even
you're a kid when you're 21. You are a baby.
But I remember thinking like I knew. Like, I got I got this life thing figured out.
You think you know what's up. You think you know life.
And then like, just a little, not good.
Right.
I was just curious how that would, but it sounds like it wasn't too bad.
No.
Not being married in
No. And for me, having a baby, I don't think is a reason to get married. I mean, for each person, it's different. But in my own situation, it wasn't our reason to get married. So, yeah, we work great as parents, and it worked out how it worked out. So anyways, I was a stay-at-home mom, and Caden, he does summer sales. So we saw you in Cancun with the company New Sun. So he does summer sales with them.
And if he was at that retreat, I'm guessing he does pretty well. Like he does a good job.
Yeah, he does. He's really talented at what he does. So he would be working full-time, and I would be at home with the baby. And it was amazing that I got that opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom, because lots of people don't necessarily have that. So for me, I got to spend all of my time with him, which I look back and those are, like I'm so grateful for all of those moments, being able to stay at home with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always want kids, or like was that the plan, or?
Yeah, I've definitely always wanted kids. It wasn't something that we had like talked about. It just happened.
Yeah.
But after Romeo came, he just was like everything, and I felt good then, right? Like I could feel there were more, but just wasn't ready for anything else yet. I mean, having a kid is a lot.
Yeah.
It takes up your whole, it changes everything for you.
Yeah. Romeo, I'm just trying to think. He's probably starting to say some words, maybe put a sentence together.
No, he was really good at talking.
Was he pretty good?
He could do sentences. So he was 2.5.
Do you remember what his first word was?
It was jump.
Jump.
Jump. Yeah.
No way. That's a
And
good first
he was
word.
obsessed. He was obsessed with like balls. He was a boy's boy. So
Yeah.
he was obsessed with cars and balls and dinosaurs and that type of thing.
For sure.
So his second word was ball, and then his third word was where's the ball?
This guy's
like a full on sentence. Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Yeah, no, he was a cutie. We were excited about getting him into sports. He loved kicking a soccer ball around. He could already kind of dribble a basketball. So, we had like, when you have a kid, you kind of make all these plans for them, right? You have all these ideas kind of pop up in your head. And that's one of the saddest things is thinking about all the things that we wanted to do with him.
Yeah. Frankie, like grieving over Frankie's different than grieving over Courtney. Because, like, at least Courtney got 30 years. Frankie, like, she was 2. So, yeah, a lot of the pain with Frankie is just you just were robbed of, like, so much, like, what could have been.
Right.
And same thing with Ryder and, like, all the kids.
I know.
Like, it's just, like, that's what's so painful about kids dying is, like, just never really even had a chance yet. And then, can I just share a quick Frankie memory?
Oh, I would love.
Well, just when we were talking about Romeo.
Yeah.
But I would say Frankie had this game face where she'd like tilt her head and like
okay, I can
for
see
her
it.
brow and like crunch up the nose.
It.
And I'd always say, Frankie, show me your game face, and she'd show me this game face. And I think another tough thing about losing a 2-year-old is
oh my gosh,
like they don't have a lot of friends yet. They haven't traveled, like they're so young, like you're really the only one who knows about them.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Courtney, Race, they have so many family friends, like people knew them.
Nobody knows them in the way that
nobody
you
knows
knew them.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Except me.
Yeah.
And Courtney, she died as well.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And my mom and Courtney's parents know Frankie. Like some people do, but like for some reason that hurts. Like it's hard for me to share memories with people with Frankie because they weren't there. Like they don't understand it. I just think losing a young kid that age is so hard.
Well, they're just like this raw expression of life. Like life at its purest form.
And like I'm sure you had this with Romeo, but like never did anything bad. Like just
no. And if they would do something bad, like it's in the cutest freaking way.
Frankie says a swear word and you just
innocent.
laugh. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's just everything they do is
just so innocent and pure.
And then like the way a kid, like a 2-year-old, the power they have to just flip your day around.
I know.
Like a bad day, you come home, she wraps her little arms around your neck and like problem's gone.
Was she a daddy's girl?
Yeah, like I think she was very much like her mom.
Right.
But she'd also just chase her 2 brothers around all the time.
Oh, cute.
Just like tomboy trying to keep up with them.
Cute.
So that's who Frankie was. But yeah, she was.
I love her name, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
It's really cute.
Thank you. We wanted like a name like a boy name, but for a girl. Like we liked Austin, Bobby.
Yes.
Frankie.
I love that. I love boy names for girls. I wanted to do that with I have a daughter. She's 7 months. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do that with her, but my boyfriend at the time, he was not for it.
We got to get, okay. Can we get back to Romeo?
Yes.
Cute kid. Let's get to the brutal part.
Right.
Can you take us to the day of like where you were, how this happened maybe?
Yes, I can. Okay. So I was living.
And sorry.
Yeah.
But like this is recent.
Yeah. No,
like not easy to talk about.
It's not easy to talk about.
But also like you need to talk about it.
But I'm wanting to. Yeah. Like I'm wanting to share more about it. I think there's a lot of information as well that would be helpful for people to know regarding water safety and the dangers of water.
For sure.
So this was about a year and a half ago, July 1st, 2022. And like I said, my boyfriend at the time, he was doing solar sales. Mm. And so he was working all the time and we were staying at this apartment in Tracy, California. And I would take Romeo swimming in the apartment complex almost daily because it was something fun to do. And I knew that water was dangerous for children, right? Like I knew to watch him, I knew to be careful, but I did not know the extent of how dangerous and how fast your child can drown and how common it is. Like I really did not know.
I like, yeah, because like if you picture a kid drowning, you picture like flailing
Yeah.
arms and screaming and help,
Yes.
and
That's
that's not
not the
how it
case. It's
is.
not the case.
Like you turn your back and
No, lifeguards are actually trained to look for children who are drowning that are like in the water and you hardly see them.
right.
Like it's hard to detect.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hearing anything. You're not really seeing anything. So, yeah, going along with that, like I didn't know that drowning is the leading cause of death for children under 4.
I did not know that either.
It's the number one cause of death. And it's so common. Like now that this has happened to me and my family, I'm hearing about it all the time. I also did not know that, like we said, it's silent. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything. And it only takes 30 seconds for your child to drown. Only 30 seconds. And it doesn't matter if it's a pool or in our case, it was a hot tub or it happens in bathtubs all of the time. And you can leave for only 1 minute to go grab something or go check the door or whatever it is, and you'll come back and it's just too late. And let's say your kid is in the bathtub. Let's say they're in the bathtub. You have the water very low in the bathtub, okay? You're thinking there's no way, right? Like I can leave the room for just a second. I mean, you're busy. You have other kids, you have other people, you have things going on. Your kid, they can slip, and the moments that it takes with them slipping and the shock that they have when they inhale the water, well, the inches of water that's in the tub, that's all it takes. That's all
Yeah.
it takes. So it's hard. Like I don't want to stress anybody out.
No, I mean I do think number one cause of death under
Right.
4, and I think it's probably because no one wants to talk about it.
I know.
No one, and
It's not fun to talk
it's
about.
not, but it needs to be talked about. I think, it's just the worst thing. So you were at the apartment complex. You
Yes.
take them swimming,
Yes, daily almost.
and
And here's another prevalent thing to the story is when I would take him swimming, he was really good at always staying on the steps and not going in the water without me. And because he knew he couldn't swim and he was careful. He was only 2.5 years old, but like he was really careful around the water. But then I put floaties on him. So I put floaties on him, and this was only 3 days before the accident. He thought because of the floaties that he could float now because they gave him a false sense of security. So people also don't know this. Moving forward, none of my kids will ever wear floaties unless, like we're boating or something like that. But floaties, puddle jumpers, don't put your kids in them. Put your kids in swimming lessons every summer until they're excellent swimmers. And let's say you don't even have a pool in your backyard. It doesn't matter. Like it takes out one time of them going to a friend's house. It takes out one swimming party. Don't put them in floaties. So I put Romeo in floaties, and he thought he could float, and I didn't like really register that in my mind. We go to the pool the next day or 2 days after that, and we had walked in. We had only been in the pool area for 4 minutes. We had just barely walked in. And we didn't bring the floaties this day like usual. Okay, we usually don't have it. We walk in, he kind of runs ahead. He runs ahead because he sees another kid and he wants to go and play with that kid. They're sitting at a bench. The mom with the kid, she sees me and walks forward. We meet halfway, and I sit down to talk to her. I take my eyes off of Romeo and I sit down to talk to her. I'm not, at that point, I didn't think Romeo would go to the pool area, but also like we're near a body of water. So the fact I took my eyes off of him. So I sit down, I talk to her for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I say out loud, "Where's Romeo?" I stand up and I don't see him. I scan the area. I don't see him. I see her son sitting up in the hot tub and I don't see Romeo. So I start walking forward towards the hot tub and sorry. I start walking forward and I see him face down in the water. And at this moment, things got really weird. Like it felt like I was in a dream. I kept thinking, wake up, wake up, wake up. Like I was literally living in my worst nightmare.
I was gonna ask you, like, when did you feel like this sense of fear? Was it when you saw him, or like when you stood up? Where's Romeo? Like, or was it everything just happening so fast? You're just kind of in this shock and
It was the
disbelief,
shock,
almost out of body.
out of body dream experience.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it was not real. It could not be real. Like I live a normal life. I'm a normal person. This doesn't happen to me. This happens to other people, but not me. Not my baby and not Romeo. So, yeah, so I'm kind of in like that weird shock dream phase. I'm walking forward and he's face down in the pool and I walk in, all of my clothes, my shoes. I grab him. His lips and his face is turning blue. He's regurgitating throw up. His body's convulsing and his soul is not in his body. I'm holding his limp body and he's not in there. And so I start performing CPR.
Are you like silent? Are you screaming? Are you kind of, you don't even remember?
I'm pretty sure I was screaming. I remember hearing screaming. So I'm not sure if that
But you
was.
were you were able to perform CPR to some degree, or were you,
I would hope to say that like my instincts took over and
but you're really just kind of
but
fuzzy.
I was fuzzy and I heard screaming, so I'm not sure if it was me or the mom I was with, but I started doing CPR. I'd taken a class in CPR years ago, but I did not know what I was doing. I just knew that my baby needed something and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm trying to do that something for him. There's a crowd of people forming around us and everybody looks sick. Everybody looks ashen. I'm at this point definitely screaming for help, calling for help, and like trying to hand him to somebody who would know what to do. And nobody seems to know what to do. So somebody's calling 911. Somebody else pulls me into their car, and I'm in the backseat of their car going to the hospital. We meet up with the ambulance halfway and they take him.
And did you follow the ambulance, or like?
Yeah. So we follow the ambulance. At this point, I'm completely silent in the back seat of the car with the
I mean,
person
like
who's
you
driving me.
you woke up, normal day.
Right.
Take the take Romeo to the pool.
Yeah.
You meet someone, having a pleasant conversation, and then
Yeah. And then
like your whole world
my
is
whole world as
over,
I knew it is completely upside down.
and
Like,
now you're behind an ambulance following. You're like,
yeah.
what?
Oh, the sirens. Every time today when I hear an ambulance siren, I get these extreme, I don't know what to call it, triggers, like trauma triggers, where it kind of takes me back to the accident and I have to just like stay with the feeling of that until it passes. But I have a lot of triggers today, honestly.
Yeah, like going to a pool, or like even when I met you at the ocean. Does that
Right.
do anything to you? Or
I had to get past that. Sometimes it does. This was actually a few weeks after the accident. I wanted to face my fear and I went back to that hot tub. I went back to the pool and I mean, there was this kid in the pool. He had a snorkel thing on. So he was going underwater and he could like breathe through his snorkel, but he was trying to play and he was screaming, "Mama, save me. Mom, save, I'm drowning." And this was a few weeks after. So that kind of, I mean, that's my hardest part is I think about him needing his mom and trying to scream for me. And I'm literally right there. I'm right there. And I didn't know. And I wasn't there for him. And that is the part that could kill me right there. Those 2 minutes of him drowning or however long it was, like that's the part, if I let it, that could kill me.
Hey Ryan, can you grab us some tissues, maybe? I first of all, I just like sorry. There's really nothing good to say. And then like how I struggle with guilt a lot. Like wasn't in the car. And like how do
like
you
wishing that you were there
Oh
almost.
man, I wish I was in the car so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Like so bad. Like I'd do anything. Like obviously my first plea to God or whoever, I don't know, to whoever would be like, don't let them die. But then my second one would be like, okay, can I just do it with them?
Yeah.
I'd like to just go through it with them.
Yeah. Yeah, experience what they experienced.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's part of the reason why I just get tattooed so much. Like, I just want to feel awful.
That's why you get tattoos?
I think that's why I get drunk sometimes, too. Like, I just want to feel awful.
Okay. Because you want to kind of experience
pain.
Maybe to the level that they
And obviously it's not, like, but like something, yeah.
Right.
Like, I should sit through some type of pain.
Right.
What are like...
And I've done that too. Like I've in my head gone through that experience with him so many times.
I was gonna ask you, like grief, like
Right.
this is a life sentence. Like you're done. Like you're gonna have this pain the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
So, but you seem to be. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but like you seem to be coping with it pretty good. How how are you handling this, the guilt and the grief? Like, what are you? Because you seem very optimistic and positive and bright and happy maybe.
Yeah. Well,
I can't. And even with me, like what I've lost, I still can't put myself in your shoes. Like I can't walking up to Riggins or Frankie face down in water.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and then you have to tell people. Now you have to tell your boyfriend.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the worst moments in my life was telling him. But I think the thing with it is something like this happens to you and you have two choices. You either die, like you die, you give up, or you use this to become alive. You use this to wake up from the daydream of life and you actually start living. You have a purpose in life now. You wake up and you start living. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I mean, it's a daily, I'm sure you know, it's a daily thing. It's a daily decision to live.
I remember you asking me on the beach, you're like, I forget how you have to help me out here, but you said something like, do you get mean messages or how do you handle people who think, do you remember this?
I do, yeah. Like, and I was thinking about that today.
Because I do think it's such a brave thing. And this is why no one knows that drowning is number one killer for kids 4 years and younger. No one talks about it. No one talks about our story. Because shame and guilt.
Feel so fucking guilty.
Shame and guilt are the worst things.
I know.
And we all have it. And it's like, it's the thing we never talk about. Like we never talk about our shame and guilt.
Right.
And it eats us up in other ways.
Yeah.
So like the amount of bravery it takes for someone like you to understand that if you're going to try to take what happened to you and educate people about drowning, like there's going to be like, it's part of the territory. It's just going to come with people backlash. Like, how dare you give advice when your son drowned? Like, some people are just terrible people. Like, I don't know what they're doing. But like, I remember you asking me that, and I don't really know what my answer was, but I hope you don't let those get to you, because I think, like, what if you sharing your story saves 5 kids from drowning?
Okay. And that's the thing. Like, that is the thing. All the messages that I get that are people who are so thankful for the information, or maybe it's touched somebody who's also lost somebody, or somebody who's going through something, right? Like, the people who it's touching in that way, it's worth it. You have to tell the story. You have to
Yeah,
keep going. And I would say the biggest thing that kind of got in my head that almost stopped me from sharing, and this is kind of what I was talking to you about, was the people who almost accused me of using his story for popularity, or using what happened to me as a way to get followers. And because of that, I almost stopped.
yeah,
I had to have a real come to Jesus with myself and ask myself, why am I doing this? Like, why do I want to share a story? Why do I want to post? And I know, like, I want to do it because his story deserves to be shared. And because if this saves one person from taking their life after losing their child, or if this saves even one child, it's worth it.
yeah.
You have to.
Well, yeah, I think for you, like, that's important to understand. Like, for every bad comment you get, you're probably
Right.
getting 20 to 30
So
good
many
ones.
more, so many good
So
ones.
don't get caught
Yeah.
up on,
You
like,
kind of just have to not care and understand that
yeah.
person's dealing with their own
And,
shit.
like, to me, when I get bad comments,
Right.
and listen, I don't get a lot. Like, I'm not. It always cracks me up, like, when people on Instagram, like, my haters said I couldn't do it, and I did. Like, what are
Right.
we talking about, really?
Right.
Like, do
Yeah.
you really have, like, who's your hater? Like, your aunt who thought you should have stayed in business school instead of starting your own? Like, that's probably your
Right.
hater. Like, no
Like,
one
there's
really is
people.
hating you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. There's definitely people who don't believe in you, right?
right. But, like, I do think sometimes the thought of it, like, we blow it up in our head. Like, it's probably just some unhappy guy in his 50s had a bad day at
Definitely.
work. Like,
Definitely.
like, that's probably it.
I mean, if you're coming at somebody for losing their
Their
family members,
drowning kid. Like,
right?
give me a break.
And you're going to come at them and add to the guilt that they're already feeling. Like, come on. Like, do
Yeah,
you know
not
what
for
mom
me.
guilt is? Like, I'm already feeling that. So,
But so, like, I'm not trying to make it. I think people who say I have haters are trying to act like they're cool. Like, I'm so cool. I have hate. Like, so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but some people don't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make
Yeah.
before I forget it,
Let's hear it.
and all this is like,
Yeah.
when someone sends me a mean comment, it's honestly like they're saying your dog Puddles is stupid.
Okay.
Like, first of all, I don't have a dog, Puddles.
Okay, so it's just completely illogical.
Yeah, it's like that's literally how I hear it. Like, these
Okay.
people don't know anything about me.
They don't know you.
Like, this is
Right.
it's insanity. Like, I
Right.
don't even have a dog named Puddles.
Right.
So that's just kind of how I see. Like, they just don't even know.
That's a good way to look at it.
And then, like, I just it's kind of like when you lose wife, son, daughter, brother, nephew,
Oh my
and then someone
gosh.
leaves you a mean comment. It's kind of like, hey, you lost both your legs and you have stage 4 cancer. And then someone comes in like, oh, like, you jammed your pinky too.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay. Like, I can
Yeah.
deal with the jammed pinky, I
Right.
guess. Like,
Right.
add it to the, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
not really a whole lot of room left to get, like,
Exactly.
I'm not going to care what Ned from Memphis thinks of
already
my
gone
podcast.
through
Yeah, like,
your worst nightmare, like the worst thing
Yeah.
a person can go through. So yeah. For
so I
sure.
hope, like, no, I do think it, and listen, it's hard being vulnerable. It's hard talking about your emotions.
Right.
And this is part of it, is the
Yeah.
judgment.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it.
That's
Yeah.
part of it. And
Yeah.
so to be vulnerable, to open up, you're just, I don't know how else to say it, but you're just gonna have to not give a fuck.
You're gonna have it.
It's just gonna come.
I think for anyone who has anything important to say, it always comes with that. Right?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
it's a good way to put it. But
Yeah.
like the worst story, like, kid drowning. I remember, and it's so weird how life happens to you, but I remember I was a high school basketball coach, and one of the people on staff at the school, like janitor staff. She lost her kid, choking accident. Kid choked on candy at a family vacation. And I remember like we'd have a tough loss and I'd be so mad and I'd walk through the gym and I'd see her, this mother that just lost her kid.
Yeah.
I'd see her and I'm like, and I remember I'd even make comments to my assistant coach, Christian, about it. Like, what are we even worried about? Like, she has to deal with that. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
We can deal with losing a high school basketball game.
Right.
And I remember like, I can't imagine what that's like. And that's very close to your story, just walking on your kid choking or drowning. Like, like everything I worried about before the car accident
just does not matter.
It's so weird,
it doesn't
right?
matter.
Like I don't even know what it was.
Yes.
I don't even know.
And it's weird because you're still going to have problems that kind of pop up, and you almost have these old habits of worrying about these problems, and then you kind of remember this doesn't matter.
Right.
Like in the whole scheme of things, this really does not matter.
And I do think, like when you lose the loved one, like this new beautiful gain perspective of life, that's part of it.
Yes.
That's why you have it, is nothing really compares that love that is lost, and so it puts everything in perspective for you now.
Puts everything into perspective of what.
But it's weird because
matter.
When Romeo was alive, you loved him more than anything.
Yes.
Like you knew that.
Oh yes.
But still, when you lose them,
yes,
it's different. It's just, it's hard to explain, and I don't wish it upon anyone, losing a kid. And then, okay, so can we get to? You have to tell people. Well, where do you want to get back with your story? So you're following the ambulance, and then you get to the hospital, and they say sorry.
So we get to the hospital, and we actually had to go to 2 different hospitals. We get to the first hospital, and they're working around him. It's not looking good. The lights are flickering, and the nurses are all like looking around so anxiously at me, trying to help me. And I'm sitting there in my wet clothes, my wet shoes, and my phone rings. It's Caden. It's Romeo's dad. Somebody had told him, and he's calling me to see if it's true. And I was the one that had to tell him, like, yes, Romeo drowned. And the noise he made, like, I will never forget it. It was one of the worst moments of my whole life. I'll never forget it. He came and met me at that hospital, and the doctor, there was a priest praying over Romeo and telling us to hope. And there was a doctor there, and he told me there wasn't much hope. He said, you better pray hard because there's not a lot of hope. And it's almost like that doctor was looking at me like it was my fault. And I don't know if I was projecting that because I felt like it was my fault. But I think when something like this happens, like a kid drowns, you want somebody to blame. Like you're angry about it and you are mad and you want to find someone to kind of point fingers at. And I think for the doctors and the nurses at these hospitals, they go through a lot. Like it's not pleasant for them to have to try to save this kid's life. So anyways, he's life flighted from that hospital. We go to the next hospital, and the journey to this hospital was an hour long. During this drive, I'm having to call family members and let them know because I know we need support. I don't want them to hear about it from anyone else. Like they need to hear about it from me. So I call my brother, and Caden calls his parents. It was so hard just hearing them scream as well.
I told my parents because I was asking them to go to the hospital to check on Blue for me, right. But I think they already knew.
Okay.
And just hearing you talk, I never had. Oh, I had to tell Keisha and Faith in person.
Right.
That was hard. That was hard.
Right.
But yeah, like, I could not have. I wouldn't be able to speak.
I couldn't tell my mom.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that. I would have.
So scared to tell because she just had such a good bond with him. I had to call my brother.
You just felt like you had to tell them, like they couldn't hear from someone else.
So I mean, maybe I said that wrong.
Like that. No, I think that's like shows what type of person you are. Like I wasn't even in that headspace. Like couldn't even think about other people, really. So I think it's kind of cool that you
Yeah.
wanted to call him, but how hard that'd have been. I can't
Right.
imagine that.
Well, like I said, I
And then
couldn't call my
again and
mom.
again and again.
Yeah. No. I called my brother. Let me rephrase that. I
Okay,
called
my
my
bad, my
brother,
bad.
and my brother is the one who
That
told my
told.
mom, and my mom told my grandma, and my grandma, she's the one we tell things if we want information to spread. So it was
Okay.
my grandma who called everyone. But I guess in that car ride, like calling my brother was so hard, and then listening to my boyfriend at the time, listening to him call his parents and being on the phone with them, that was just so hard, so hard. So it's actually crazy because his parents, his mom, my boyfriend's parents, his mom Danielle, she was at the movies at the time of the accident, and she had no idea of the accident, no logical idea, but she did have a panic attack at the movies at the exact time that Romeo drowned.
No
She had a
way.
panic attack, and she had to leave the theater, and she had no idea why. No idea until we called her a few hours later.
Wow.
Yeah. There's lots of things like that. Like there's lots of little
What
signs.
what is the relationship with your boyfriend's parents? Like, how was that after the accident? Did they talk to you a lot? What was that relationship like?
They're amazing. They're
Huh.
family. They're family. We actually live in their basement. We rent out their basement from them in the off season when he's not working. Um, yeah, they're family.
That's so cool because I mean, just like the studies of when a couple loses a kid, like
Mm,
usually I think it's like in the 80%,
it's
like
high.
that relationship's gonna end, and things can get nasty pretty quick because it's the worst story. It's a kid drowning. There's
Right.
so much emotions and trying to deal with it, and we all deal with it in different ways. It's just really hard and then like the animosity you could have towards each other
Right.
because of it.
So that's the thing is we've been together for 5.5 years, and we've gone through everything. I mean, I want to say everything like people can go through in a relationship.
Well, I think losing a kid, like that's got to be the toughest thing to go through. I think.
Definitely. I think so. And I want to say that we can keep going. Like I want to say that we are mature enough and able to handle everything in a way that we can continue relationship. But at this point, we actually just broke up. We broke up on that Cancun vacation when I saw you.
Who breaks up on
I
vacation?
know. I
Like at least
know.
get like
But
traveling back had to been
this
awkward.
if you take it back from this perspective, like we have not been able to open up and really talk to each other for such a long time. Like it's been a year and a half since the
Just because of the
accident.
grief.
Well, it's like, yeah, like the grief, and we're grieving in different ways. Like if you are a couple and you go through something like that and you start to grieve in different ways, right? Like he felt like he needed to support the family. We just got pregnant right after the accident and we had a baby on the way. He wanted to support us, and I was so grateful for that. I really am, because I had the time I needed to kind of sit at home with my feelings. But with him doing that, he went in full work mode where he turned into a machine, a robot, and he wasn't a full human. And he worked 13-hour days every single day
No,
in
you
that
think
summer.
that's just how he was coping with it? Like I'm
I mean,
just
that's how
gonna.
he was coping it.
No, like
Yeah,
that's a very popular way to cope with it.
it
Is just
is.
keep yourself super
Keep
busy.
yourself busy.
Yeah.
And for me, during that time, I was so lonely. Like I got pregnant right after the accident. Okay.
Yeah. Can we talk about that too?
Right.
Because losing a kid and now you're dealing with that PTSD. You're dealing with that
Right.
grief. You find out you're pregnant.
Right. Right.
Like what the hell?
So I had a dream right after the accident. And there's been like lots of like little things where Romeo's kind of been communicating with me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of my favorite ways, because I had a dream, and it was a lucid dream where I'm aware that I'm dreaming and we're flying. It's very vivid. After the flight, he tells me that he's excited for his little sister, to come to Earth.
No way.
He does, yes. And I woke up at like 2 a.m. I go and I write it all down. So I have it all written down in her little baby book. But
Mm-hmm.
I got pregnant a month after that dream with a baby girl, with his little sister. And it was just one of those like meant to be things. So she's really like it's hard. It is so hard, but she's been really helping me heal my heart, and she gives me a reason every single day to heal myself, to choose life and to choose love.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guy, so I don't even know what it's like to be pregnant at all.
Oh my
But
gosh.
like,
Oh, the hormones, the emotions.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
put that on top of
I
grief.
understand grief
Oh
pretty
my
well, and then
gosh.
pregnancy on top of it, and then just the combination of you lost a kid, you're getting a
Yes.
kid,
Yes.
and then the dream, and then okay, because this is
Oh,
what
and then I'm isolated, by the way, because we're doing this with Summer Cells, right?
Yeah,
So we
you're
go to California.
no friends.
I don't
nothing.
have friends. I don't have family.
You're oof.
And my boyfriend is working 13-hour days.
Yeah.
So like I definitely have an amazing support system, but they're in another state. And I didn't realize until now, because now I'm like out of that. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I did it. You know?
Yeah.
It was rough. And I think that's one of the main trajectories that kind of took our relationship in different paths.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I have this with Blue because Blue's starting to wear all of Riggins' hand-me-downs. And he's like, he's thinning out now, and he sounds like Riggins, and he just is like reminding me of Riggins all the time.
Okay.
And it's part of me loves it. And like, it's so cute, and like, I love it. And part of me is having a really tough time. Like,
right.
Like, this is really hard. And so, like, a pregnancy after losing a kid, like going through the birth process again, breastfeeding again, like all those like motherly things that you just got done doing with Romeo. Is it just that weird common? This is what I'm figuring out about grief, interviewing all these people. Yeah. It's not black and white ever. It's always this weird smack of both. So is it like you love it and hate it at the same time? Probably.
That I love and hate what?
Like that that this baby reminds you so much of having Romeo and becoming a mother.
Right.
Like that's got to be bittersweet.
It is. It's so bittersweet, and I love it. I would say the hardest part is getting in my head about like comparing them or just being in my head at all about anything of it. If I'm
so can you talk the comparison thing?
Right.
So can you talk more about that? Like you do compare or you don't compare?
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Not on purpose. I mean, it happens. I just lost a child.
Yeah.
And I'm pregnant with a new child. And she reminds him in so many ways, but she's also just so different. She's a different human. She's a different person. But like giving birth to her and holding her in my arms right after I lost the love of my life, and now I have this new love of my life. It was just so like, it's crazy. I don't even know how to say it.
I know.
I don't even know how to say it. I'm still going through that. Like as she's getting older and she's starting to yell and she's starting to be more expressionate. Like
what's
she's
her name?
reminding me more of
What's her name?
Amara.
Pretty name. I was actually on your Instagram because we were messaging on Instagram.
Right.
You had that. You posted a picture of her, I think.
Yeah.
Very cute. Kid.
Oh, okay.
Such a cutie.
I have the cutest kids.
Yeah. Oh damn! I had something good I was gonna ask you. Gosh, damn! I shouldn't have complimented your kid because now it threw me off.
I mean, she's cute, so she'll distract you.
No, this was not gonna be.
Was it about my relationship? Was it about?
I don't remember. It was gonna be good though. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, you said you don't even. It's hard to talk about because you don't even know how to explain it. You don't even. Okay, I just wanted. I think this is a part of what makes grief and talking about emotions so hard is we don't even know how we feel about it.
Yes.
So it's like I can't talk to you about it because I don't even know how I feel about it.
I don't even know how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, and that's why it's so, especially for guys, I think.
Oh, it's so much harder.
Is we don't even know what to. I don't even know what to tell you.
You don't, and
because I have two opposite thoughts. Do you want me to tell you both opposite thoughts at the same time and not make sense? I don't know. I don't know how to express it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk about it. So I'm shutting it down.
Exactly. And that's what my partner did.
Yeah.
And for me, I would take that personally because he's so shut off. He's so cut off from him and from
And like,
me.
listen, I don't know anything about your boyfriend. Might be the
Right.
best goddamn guy in the
Oh,
world.
he is. He
Like,
is.
okay, but like, it is like it's so hard to talk about.
Right.
It just is like,
It's almost like
and
scary.
and again, I don't even know him, but he probably loves you
Yeah.
and like is so frustrated with you at the same time, and he
Yes.
doesn't know what to do.
Exactly.
That's and again, I could be completely
Yes.
wrong. I don't want to put like
No,
whatever,
you're on it.
but like that has to be so hard for him.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And he doesn't want to talk. Who wants to talk about that? That's
yeah.
really hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, brutal.
Well, like
That's what
that's
I
the
was
thing.
gonna
That's
say.
the thing is he I know he loves me and I love him and we've been through something so like intimate and so traumatic that another thing is you were saying this earlier, like these kids, they're only 2.5. Like nobody really knows them but their parents.
Yeah,
Nobody knows Romeo like me and Caden.
yeah. Not saying like if you and Caden don't work out, and like you could find another guy, and it could be great. But like, it's just hard because you didn't lose your child with like you lost him with Caden. Like you,
Yeah.
like it's just
And
hard.
we'll
Like
always have that.
you have that connection.
Yep.
And it's a terrible connection, but it's a strong one. Like
It's a
that
strong
connection of
connection
grief.
for sure. And I mean, at the end of the day, like he can love me, but does he look at me and not blame me? I don't think he wants to blame me. I really don't think he wants
I
to.
don't think he wants to at all.
But does he?
Yeah,
I don't know if he's even in touch with his emotions enough to know if he does or doesn't. But it's
Yeah.
at the point to where like I really am on this journey of self-discovery and happiness and choosing life and I need to be with somebody who doesn't look at me with all of that pain.
Yeah.
It's almost like selfishly, I want a new start.
I don't think that's selfish. I think that's fair. I don't
Yeah.
know. Back to the blame thing because
Right.
this is interesting too. Is because there's with my accident, there's really no one to blame.
Right.
It's just it was a sandstorm. So like even the car, like it's not like anyone tried. Like it was just a terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you think about something long enough, you just blame yourself. Like I just found a way to blame myself. It was my
Mm-hmm.
fault. And then And then this is the thing I found out, like when I started talking to family members, like they were blaming themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whoa, and I didn't know that. Like, whoa, like why would it be your fault?
Yep.
Like you're so far removed from this thing. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
if anything, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
But I like there's many members in my family that felt terrible. Like my grandma
Mm-hmm.
felt bad that she planned the family reunion. My parents
Oh,
felt bad that they invited. Like no one did anything wrong.
yeah.
But like it's so terrible and you love them. You just kind of like, what could I have done? And you find things that you could have done and you could play that what if game all day. But the whole reason I bring that up is you might be surprised, like your boyfriend or whoever, he might be struggling with blaming you, but maybe
Right.
himself too a little
Oh,
bit.
for sure.
And so if he opens that wound, he's gonna have to talk about
Mm-hmm.
shame and guilt. Those two worst things that we've talked about earlier. Like
Mm-hmm.
no one wants to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just gets hard to. I'm not kidding. Like Brie, one thing I've learned through
Yeah.
this podcast, I think most people would rather be miserable, but it's a comfortable miserable that they know for the rest of their life they'll just go down being miserable, versus going through hell, but then maybe being happy and living
Right.
a like that's what I'm learning. Like people
Okay.
are like I might be unhappy, but I'm not having that conversation. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, if you get through that conversation, there's so much beauty on the other side
There
of it.
is.
So
Yes.
much healing to be taking
Yes.
place.
And another thing too is I don't think a person needs to necessarily go through something as traumatic as what you've gone through or maybe what I've gone through. I think every person has their own set of challenges that are designed uniquely for each one of us
Hmm.
to wake us up from the daydream of life, right?
Yeah.
To have a purpose within ourselves to start living. So I'm saying that because I don't want people who are listening to think they need to go through something to this level to have purpose in their lives, because that's not it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You can always use your mess, the things you've been through in life, to transform into a new one.
Yeah, and I like even back to when you were pregnant, not married, and I asked you like judgment, like you
Right. Like
even
that's
handled that. Like I feel like you've handled really hard times in your life pretty well.
Thank
Like you
you.
kind of like you're good, like you're strong.
Thank you.
At least that's how it
I mean,
sounds.
it's been a lot, right? Like you kind of, me, for example, at a young age, I had to kind of just accept what was happening and choose to be excited or choose to, I mean, what's the other option?
Right.
Like you either accept it and be happy and continue moving forward, or you
Yeah,
like,
what's the other option? I love that
what?
because people tell me like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
almost
either
like
kill myself or this. Like I
it's
don't
almost
know.
like they're surprised that you're
Yeah,
okay,
like
right?
don't
Like
have a lot of
people,
options, bud.
yeah, people look at me and they're kind of surprised that I'm like, okay, but I really am. And I think
Yeah.
the same for you,
Very
right?
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. But to you, it's just like, what's my other option, man?
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect from me?
You say you talk to Romeo.
Yeah.
I talk to Frankie. I mean,
You do.
I'm saying Frankie a lot because Frankie's too. But I mean, I talk to all of them. But what can I ask you? Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let's say Romeo came down here, or you have like 10 minutes with him. What do you
Yeah.
think he's saying to you? No, not 10 minutes. Let's say you have 1 minute, and you can't say anything to Romeo.
Okay. Ooh.
What are some things Romeo's gonna tell you? You think
He's telling me to not blame myself. He's telling me to be happy. He's telling me he's happy. He's happy and he has life to live, and he hopes that I do too. And that's the thing. It's like he does tell me that in his own ways.
Yeah,
I get signs all the time.
I think that's so healing and therapeutic.
Do you get signs from Frankie?
I get a lot of different signs, but
Right.
but where my mind's at right now is, okay. When I first started talking to Courtney,
Okay.
our communication was just apologizing. That was all we were doing. All I would hear her voice say is, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
Really? I just got
And
chills.
that's all I would say. Like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, we would just, and I just be crying, and we just,
What?
that was our communication for the first several weeks after the accident. Because just
Whoa.
knowing Courtney, I know there's a part of her that would just and feel bad, and so I just want her to know, like, I just love you and don't feel bad. And then she knows me. She knows I'm gonna feel terrible because I wasn't in the car. And so like it's this weird.
That it was her and not you.
And so like when I heard you say that about Romeo, and I think that's part of the reason why I asked you is I have and I need that conversation with Courtney of we're both just so sorry.
Yeah.
But there's something to that. Just you want to feel like no anger, animosity. It's just this sucks, and we're both in it, and we're both in it in different ways. Like she's on the other side, and I'm over here. But this is it now, and we got to figure out how to navigate through it. But I think it's so important that you have those conversations with Romeo because I know for sure that's what he'd tell you.
It is. It is. And he does. Like he finds little ways to kind of tell me that every so often. And I know, like, I don't know how time works on the other side for them, but he is with me when I need him to be with me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I will say, just to play devil's advocate, because I'm that type of guy.
Right.
Like, okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Yesterday I'm driving, and Sammy's like, look at that license plate. So I look at the license plate, and it says Frankie on it.
No.
And it's spelled wrong. It has an E at the end.
Okay.
So I'm like wrong in my mind. I'm like wrong spelling, but
okay,
like
so
we'll
your
take
logical
it.
mind
Yeah, but like we'll take it. But like sometimes I do think in my mind, I'm like, A dragonfly. Like
That's because
Courtney and dragonflies. I have this weird connection. Dragonflies and Courtney. And like when I see them, like oh, it's Court. But at other times I'm like, okay, is this just there's just dragonflies. So I like mess with myself.
you know what's so crazy?
Like critiquing my own conversations and signs with my dead wife. Like how fucked up is that? But that's what I do. Like no, that wasn't really her. Like, no, it was her. Like I just can't trust anything.
You know what's so crazy? Right before I met you, I kept thinking about dragonflies for some reason.
Really?
So the fact that you just said that, that's like one of the things, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I got a quick dragonfly story for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
So yesterday, I think. Yeah. I'm looking for a house. I've been renting this apartment. I'm done renting. I want to get into a house because you're just throwing money away. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't understand money. That's just how I see it. Anyway, I'm looking for this house.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in this house, and I like it, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do because Courtney's not here. So I'm like, I don't know.
Because that's Courtney's job. Like, does Courtney like it?
I'm like, this house looks good. Mm-hmm. It's got 4 walls and a roof. And it's cool.
It's a home.
And then I see this dragonfly. And it's like, it's in purple, her color. And it's this beautiful big dragonfly outside in the backyard on this rock. And it was just like weird, like very weird.
Okay. The thing with that is like your mind can very logically explain something like that away, but your soul knows. Your soul knows.
But then, I mean, we can get into the philosophy and theology here, but then, because like, here's the other thing. Because then you get into the manifestation thing. Because, okay, how long was that dragonfly there on that rock? Maybe 20 years. I don't know. So, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, when does it become coincidence? When does it become real? I don't know any of that stuff. It all gets very weird to me. But yeah, I have moments. I'd say, how often do you have moments that you're kind of like, ooh, like you feel
that was kind of eerie,
like from Romeo, maybe, like daily.
It used to be
semi-daily, maybe.
It used to be daily. Right after the accident, it was like every single day, and now it's for sure when I need him, and probably it goes from every other day to a few times a week. But he visits me often. I get them often.
Can I ask you one more question, and then we'll wrap up with? Do you like movies?
I do like movies. Yes.
Okay, we end every episode with top 3 favorite movies.
Okay.
But anyway, I just want to ask you. It's probably better now, but going to sleeping and waking up. What was that like for you after maybe the first few weeks, months, or year after?
Oh,
I really struggled.
It's crazy you asked that.
I really struggled with falling asleep and waking up.
Okay.
Those were like really tough for me.
Like you had a hard time falling asleep and also a hard time to get out of bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and this was, I'd just wake up and like it just boom, like hit like boom.
It like hits you like a wave.
Yeah, it took a while for it to like settle in and just like as
a new reality.
Now I kind of wake up with it, and I don't just start crying. But I went through a stretch there where I'd have to drink shots of whiskey or something like to function for Blue. I know that sounds weird, like to drink to provide, but I needed something to numb that so I could get Blue ready for school.
Gosh,
like I just
because you were still a father.
Yeah, and like I went from this loud house of laughter and roughhousing and chasing, and I'm scaring Courtney and make it like it's just this loud, and now it's only child, single dad who's sad. It's just Blue's world went from that. I don't even know what that was like for him, but How old is Blue? He's 6 now.
Oh, okay.
But what was that like for you the first little bit going to bed and waking up?
Yeah, it's crazy that you asked that because I remember being in the hospital, and this is when Romeo's body was still hooked up to the machines, and we at this point did not necessarily know what would happen. But I remember sleeping, like we were in this haze, like this dark fog cloud that kind of takes you over.
Yeah.
And sleeping was so hard to do, but when you were able to do it, it was the only escape.
Yeah.
It was like an escape.
That's so because I would take sleeping pills at like 1 in the afternoon.
Damn.
Like, hey, you guys got blue, I'm done.
Damn.
You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I would.
And when you would sleep, like your body and everything would be very peaceful. Like it was an escape.
And I remember like some nights I'd be laying in bed trying to sleep, and I'm like, I don't want to sleep because I kind of reached the point of acceptance for the day. Like, okay, I don't want to fall asleep and start it over again.
Oh.
I don't want to wake up and cry and then drink and then finally accept it by 3 o'clock. And like, I don't want to do that. Can I just stay awake? Because you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to wake up.
Dang, I didn't go through that personally, but I understand.
Yeah, like I remember those. That was like, can I just stay awake? But then I'm like, maybe I should just sleep all the time. Really see, back to like conflicting ideas.
Yeah, I resonate with what you were saying about when you would wake up. It's almost like you would wake up and you would be in that peaceful kind of Zen mode until bam, it hits you and you remember. It's like this wall of remembering.
Yeah, because it's kind of like what you said, like sleeping gives you a break.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and like, all right, break's over.
Break's over.
You have to be awake. Imagine that, like being awake is hell. Like just, okay, I'm awake. Oh man. Not good. Have you ever, sorry, last question.
Okay. And then we'll get into movies.
Yeah. And then more questions about movies. But like, what am I asking here? But have you ever grieved over, okay, sometimes I grieve for me. Like, I'll picture myself crying. Like, I'm sad for Mason. Because usually I'm sad for Courtney or Riggins or Frankie or Race Ryder. But ever so often, I'm like, I'm sorry for you, man. Like, you were a good guy. You just got your dream job. You don't deserve this, man. I'm sorry. Like, sometimes I just feel bad for me. Like, I just have like, it's just weird. I don't know if you have that at all.
I do. Like, where you kind of feel emotional for the experiences that you've had. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then your person.
Brie, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Top 3 favorite. Now, this is Desert Island style. So, like, you only get 3 movies the rest of your life.
Oh.
This is it.
Okay, well, I have them.
Okay, what do we got?
So, number 1 is She's the Man.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I love that one. And it brings back so much childhood nostalgia. Like, I can just watch this all the time.
She's the Man.
With Amanda Bynes.
Wait, I know I can't ask you this.
Amazing in that.
This is bad to ask. How old are you, though?
I'm 26.
Okay, yeah. So you're like, okay. That's going to help me with your movie choices.
Right.
All right. I'm with you.
She's the Man. My next one, I loved Avatar.
The first or second one?
The second one.
Yeah,
the first was good. The second one, and this was after the accident, and the second one takes place in water. And there's actually a drowning scene in this.
How do you deal with drowning scenes in TV or movies?
It's hard.
Yeah, car accident. I swear to God, there's a car accident in every fucking movie.
Yeah, there is. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's hard. I sometimes have to close my eyes, or sometimes I leave the room or can't watch it. But for this one, in instance, it triggers me and it brings me back to the triggers. But when I am triggered, I really try to sit with the feeling, and I think that does bring me back pieces of myself. I really believe that. So it's okay to feel triggered sometimes. This is still my favorite movie.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, one more, right?
Okay.
So She's the Man, Avatar.
Yes.
What else we got?
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I have not seen that one.
You have to see that one.
Never heard of that
one.
Your
mind.
When would this come out?
Came out last year.
Say really it again. Good. Everything, all the time, all
Everything, at once. Everywhere.
Who's in it?
All at once. Don't ask me who's in it, because I'm really bad with actor names.
Me too. I'm actually terrible.
But it's really good. It opens your mind, and it kind of goes into like the whole timeline. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's about like timeline jumping.
I like it.
Yeah. I like anything that kind of makes you wonder, and makes you curious.
Makes you think.
Makes you think, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, what was the last movie I saw? I've just been on a Coen Brothers rerun. Like, I watched The Big Lebowski again for like the 100th time.
What was it?
The Big Lebowski?
I haven't seen that. Don't be disappointed. I said I'm 26.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, watch The Big Lebowski tonight.
Okay.
Thanks again. Romeo, you're the man. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.